Okay, here we go. Hello, and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio, your number one radio show that has a broken microphone that always comes unplugged, and we gotta learn to fight with it for the first 5 minutes, and then everything works, and then everything's perfect, and then everything is great. But it was great for the time, and now it doesn't work. But now it's working now, and now we're all better, and now we're all I did hit record. I'm on top of this stuff. Perfect. Another week, another broken microphone that usually you only see from my private sessions, and somehow I not yet bled into Indiepocalypse Radio. I'm your host, Andrew. I edit Indiepocalypse. It's a thing that has games in it. It's good. I'm here with my first guest, who you may know from issue 8 of Indiepocalypse with Techstream 2, Ash K. Ash, how you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Glad to be here.
Perfect. Glad to have you, as is the thing I know always to say to that. Glad to have you. Because I can't take a compliment without saying, like, no, I don't provide a service. It's everyone. I'm sputtering along thanks to the charity of other people. But that's not what we're here about. We're here about, Ashka, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse, and what made you submit to it?
Honestly, I don't remember at this point. It just kind of came up once.
You don't remember?
I was like, hey, that's a pretty cool idea.
You don't remember 7 months ago at this point?
Did I what?
You don't remember 7 months ago at this point?
Yeah, it was a while ago. I just kind of stumbled onto it and was like, hey, that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, thank you. I wish more people seem to be stumbling onto it, which is a very nice thing to find out, but
Yeah, I think it kind of snowballs at some point, and it's great that it does that.
Yeah, eventually, yeah. This Twitch channel is up to like 100 and whatever subscribers at this point. Like I've got numbers everywhere, and they all keep going up. So
Yeah, that's great.
I'm hoping that it will increase, and that will increase to find developers like yourself to join the issue and to, partake in secret projects unrelated to Indiepocalypse. So I got a question.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. I thought that would have been done sooner, but who knows? Listen, we're talking inside baseball here. We've got all of our baseball indoors, and we're not letting anyone see it. But I'll let you know that it's baseball, and that's as far as we'll go. I got a question for you from a previous guest. I'm going to pick whichever one I like the most.
Okay.
What? Okay. What's a game that you wish you could? And let's just say, not necessarily a game, but what's a thing? The broadest concept of thing you can use that you wish you could wipe from your memory to experience again for the first time.
I don't know, it probably would have to be either Sludge Life or Entitled Goose Game.
Okay.
I love both of those. They're amazing games. Like, Goose Game is kind of out there. I'm just a big fan. But
Yeah.
Sludge Life actively influenced the projects that I'm currently working on.
Oh, okay. I got that free copy of Sludge Life, but I don't play video games, so it's sitting in my Epic library. I think it's where I got it.
Free.
Yeah. Oh, it's still free. It's forever free.
No, I think it's free for a year, and then they just kind of lock it off, and it costs money.
Oh, okay. Well, I've still got that free copy. I think it was a redeemed free copy. I don't remember. Listen, there's a million storefronts. They're all giving away games for free constantly. But what is Sludge Life?
It's kind of like exploration game where you just walk around a city,
Okay.
draw graffiti on walls, talk to people, smoke cigarettes. I don't know. It's mostly just about a place where you just relax, talk to people, and they're all weird and wacky in their own way. It's great.
That sounds like, is that what Later Gator is? Have you played Later Gator?
I've heard of it, and I feel like it's Later Gator is more like directed, and
Okay.
Sludge Life is more of like a it just throws you in a world that is kind of weird and alien, and you just kind of explore it
All
and have a
right.
good time.
Okay. I feel like maybe we're approaching our new subgenre of walking sims, but you can talk to people. Walking and talking sims. Or you know what? I don't know how to
Maybe
describe.
like maybe like more a place to be.
Yes, place to be sims. Because we need to simulate something. We are creating digital media after all.
Yeah, not a lot of games where you can just boot up and just be there instead of
Right.
having a goal.
Just like hang around and see what people are up to.
Yeah,
But like not in like an objective focused way. Not like see what my Animal Crossing people are up to so I can get them like a chair so they can give me a piece of stationery or something.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like making the entire process of like talking to people and forming relationships based on like some background mechanic that you exploit for some gain kind of defeats the whole purpose. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel as genuine.
Right. I haven't played Animal Crossing in a long time. They still, in my memory of having played it on the GameCube, I felt like I got a lot of stationery as gifts. They still give a lot of stationery.
I don't know. Never
Yeah.
played it.
Oh, that's my take. It seems like there's too much going on in Animal Crossing nowadays. There's like so much. Too many events, too many systems, secondary shops. But speaking of Animal Crossing, um, and then saying, let's not speak of it, I have a question here from Loose Juice, which is, what inspired you to create TechStream? I presume a text. Is there a TechStream one?
There was a text stream in like all caps, and that was like the one that became super popular,
Okay.
and it was free. And then there's text stream 2, which is kind of less popular, but it costs money, and it's one that was an Indiepocalypse.
Yes. So that's probably, and the question is, there really is anything else like it that comes to mind? What inspired you to create it?
I feel like, well, the thing that like pushed me down the rabbit hole of like typing games was a video from iDubbbz where he played a lot of them and talked like about, hey, maybe people should start making better ones because the current ones kind of suck. But like the whole idea of the feel of the game, especially the first one, was probably based more on typewriters and M1 Garand because
Yeah.
like you like every keystroke is like a punctuated by like a harsh metallic sound,
Yes,
and
I.
at the end, like with the typewriter, it just does that ting sound, and like with M1 Garand, like the clip ejection sound. I feel like the biggest inspiration for me was Mario in a Top Hat BSA Galant video, where it's just Blue Mondays, but it's synced to a gun from Payday 2. And it's such a stupid video. I kind of wanted to like make the entire game, like not the entire game, but like make a video where I type in text stream to the same song
Okay.
in the same rhythm. Yeah,
That,
most of the
that
visual
was blue.
effects were just
Well, what was that?
oh,
That was Blue Monday and what now?
and it Payday 2 gun sound effects.
Oh, okay. Now, which version of Blue Monday are we talking about?
No idea, honestly.
Was it New Order or was it Orgy?
I
Well,
think New Order,
okay. Did it sound like it was
maybe.
like an older post punk song, or did it sound like this new metal song?
I
It's
honestly
like,
have no idea. It's just kind of drums. It's just pure
yeah.
rhythm.
No. Anyway, like you were saying,
Yeah. Like most of the visual effects were just people suggesting things early on while I was developing it.
yeah.
I think the name came from one of the Butterscotch Shenanigans guys while I was hanging out on their server. And they just kind of suggested Extreme, and I was like, okay, cool. Guess that works. There is some brand of like carbon fiber things with the same name, but it kind of, gets around that if you type Extreme HIO or Extreme Text Editor.
Yeah. There's. Listen.
Yeah.
This world is full of so many people who have done everything else first. We cannot be masters of SEO. That will never work.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about competing with like Swedish carpets, you know?
Yeah. And like for the second version, I think it just kind of, uh, well, like basically the first version just kind of got popular with different big indie people at different points,
Yeah.
and they each drew like a wave of people who wanted to play it. And then I was kind of mad at myself because the game sucked, but people liked it. So I was like, damn, I should make a version that doesn't suck that
Yeah.
people could also like. So I had like my summer holidays starting, and I had basically three ideas for Extreme 2, which was a like wobbly cutesy one, a
Yeah.
slick and modern like black and white one, like cool interpolations of like rectangles and shit, and a retro like pixel arty one. But like, I mean, the first one was already retro and pixel arty, so I
Yeah.
guess no need to repeat myself.
Right.
And I feel like there's already too many minimalist text editors which are slick and modern. So I just kind of made the cute animated one.
Right. Make
I
one that
think the
is a little over,
yeah,
one that is, yeah, you don't need to make the same thing you had already just made.
yeah. The visuals are actually like extremely inspired by Soko Loco by Sock Pop, which is like their train game,
Yes. Okay.
and it has that like toy box aesthetic, like wooden toy box.
Yeah.
And it has like all of those cute rounded shapes. Use the same font, maybe even the same background color. I feel like it's similar. It's not the same,
Right. No,
but yeah,
they.
it kind of inspired the whole like 3D blocks look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just looking at it now. Yes, it's very like there's a lot of like distinct parts to all of the like the animal, like different creatures. I say animals, but a bell is not an animal.
yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
they have their own like clear cut shapes and everything, and there's a good googly eye effect to make it like a very physical element to it.
Actually, I don't think we originally had like characters in there,
Yeah,
but I kind of wanted the idea of like having autosave be a thing in the world. So I thought maybe like one of those drinking birds that you put on the edge of a glass, and they just kind of dip down once in a while,
yeah,
and I would press the save button, and it didn't go anywhere, and like the very shitty drawing kind of mutated into the woodpecker that sits on the side and just backs the side when you type.
yeah.
And the that thing kind of turned into a cuckoo clock. But yeah, like that kind of started the whole idea of having characters there.
I you it's right, it's literally right next to your page, but I never look at. Actually, I say I'd never, but I feel like I have seen TextStream one before, probably in one of those like such and such is like, oh, look at this cool text editor thing, kind of moments. But yes, amazing that you can make basically text editors into drastically different text editors that have like two
Yeah.
entirely different vibes going on. Truly
Honestly,
sequelize the text editor.
yeah. The biggest shout I want to give is to like Godot
Yeah.
because the only reason we're even able to do any of this is because Godot has like a really good text editor already built in.
Okay.
So we only had to add like the unusual stuff, and all the things that you would already expect are kind of there by default.
Oh, okay. I've never used Godot. It's too much, or like maybe it did. I think Godot didn't even exist when I started, and I don't want to learn new stuff. I barely have time to use the systems that I already have.
Godot,
But
like, it's an interesting engine. I would
yeah,
definitely recommend it, but like, honestly, it's kind of I don't know. Whenever people debate about engines, it's kind of pointless.
yeah,
If you can do it in one engine, you can probably do it in another. Just
right, yeah. Godot is like a very
takes
general
a long
purpose engine,
time.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of like Unity, except
Okay,
with slightly different quirks.
right, and like open source.
Yeah, and it loads a few seconds instead of a few minutes.
Oh, perfect. I
And
love
it's
my.
just an exe, and it exports to like 30 megabytes minimum instead of 100.
Does it
Yeah, it's Unity but better in every way.
perfect? I like things that are better than. Does it have like what's it? Does it have like any open source like inexplicable UI differences that like are confusing? And I find like when I've used open source software, sometimes there's like this thing. It's like, why can't I do this very easy thing? And it's like this very
Oh, no, actually, I feel like most of like literally everything you can do in Unity you can do in Godot.
perfect,
Except
perfect.
Godot is kind of like more 2D oriented, so
Okay,
it doesn't hate you as much.
yeah, I think I was going to learn Unity, and then it had bad 2D when I was going to learn Unity, and then I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm never gonna work in 3D or like meaningfully. So I just did not use it, and then I didn't go to Godot or whatever. The engine talk, it's like you said, engines don't really matter. Engines are like made up. We can use whatever you want as long as the thing you like, as long as you can make the thing that you like. It doesn't matter what engine you use in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, picking the engine for your task definitely helps,
Yeah,
but like
yeah. If you want to,
after,
if you want to make a role
I feel
playing
like
game,
yeah, I feel like the biggest difference in development that it makes is how much experience you have with it.
yeah,
Like kind of Unity and Godot are about the same, but whenever I try to work in Unity, I'm experiencing a lot of pain because I didn't spend thousands of hours in it yet.
yeah, yeah. It's whatever. And I'm sure there are plenty of things like, oh, you'd be surprised like what engine somebody made something in because it's like, oh, once you get comfortable with something and you know its insides and outs, it's all computers in the end. You can hack them around to do whatever you need to do in whatever
Yeah,
roundabout way.
I think Baba Is You was made on in Click Engine, which is kind of like extremely restrictive and like
Yeah,
beginner based. It's not something that is famous for making great games, but like you can if you're experienced with it, I guess.
right. Yeah, you can you can make a game in anything as long as you like, you know, can get the idea, and you don't need like I guess excessive like tool sets necessarily because like Baba Is You is not a its complications don't come from its like systems, more like its implementation of its systems. But like
Yeah.
as like someone as you know when you think about it as someone who makes games like oh Baba Is You is very easy to make but
Oh
very
no.
difficult to design
No, not at all.
but
It's
very
probably extremely hard to make and design. It's a miracle that it ever got made.
yeah well I mean like like technically it seems like oh it's technically it doesn't seem too complicated to make but it's more like maybe it's just like some people's like oh this is like different brains work in different ways and go I see how this works and this makes sense to me like to reverse engineer such a thing. But anyway, we're talking so much about video games here on this show. What have we become? Cursed,
I
brought
mean,
low,
this is a video game podcast,
brought
so
low by the gamers once again. That's what I think sometimes, but who knows? Uh, Speaking of video games, so you like to make a lot of video games, like quite a few video games.
definitely. I
Oh,
feel like
what is like?
uh,
What is your process to like? I just want to like. I have an idea, kind of like in the way somebody would like. I just want to sketch something, and then he's like, "Well, what if my sketch was a video game?" Or is like, what is your approach to just kind of like I have making something?
I have like a few Godot projects. I think I like update it every year because it gets bloated.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just kind of throw out all of my projects into a an HDD drive, like an external one to free up space. But yeah, I have like an experiments project where I just create a new scene and just mess about in it, like make tiny games, make some shaders, that kind of stuff. Like I don't know, like one thing I like to do is just like primitive shapes and game engines.
Yeah. Yeah,
You can make really interesting characters just by combining them.
because I feel like there's a people can be very precious about game design, you know, and that's how
Yeah.
you end up with games that take like a million years to come out. I saw another example of a game just came out and someone was like, "Oh, I remember playing that Indicate in 2013." I'm like, ah,
Oh no.
that's 8 years. Of,
Yeah, I feel like
I have not played the game,
I,
but it does not feel like a 100 hour long epic.
I feel like the reason people kind of just their games take so long is because they get to a point and they're like, oh, I learned so much. I have to like rewrite my code so that it's good
Right.
now. I have to redo my art. And I kind of just abandoned that mindset at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have any really abandoned projects recently, like the past year. Most of the
Okay.
things I do kind of end up being released sooner or later.
There's yeah. You just finish them. You don't.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I have a game where you just a guy on a unicycle and you move your mouse left and right, and tomatoes fly at you. Tomatoes
Right.
don't hurt you or anything, but
Yeah.
like it's a game. It's pretty fun to control and
Yeah.
scary.
Not everything needs to be like, you know, here's my. You don't need to have a PR push for everything you make. You don't need to make a
Oh
separate Twitter account for all of your games.
absolutely not, because people don't transfer from one Twitter account to another.
No, no, and honestly, that seems exhausting to do. That seems like for people who
Yeah.
have like, I think if you do that, I feel like you have a PR team, and I don't trust you.
Maybe if like your game takes like 2 years to develop, then yeah, that kind of makes sense. Not for
Sure.
a small game.
Yeah. That's a.
I think like my biggest advice for like making games fast to people is to not give a shit about details, because I see like a lot of people who are like trying their own pixel art
Yeah.
and like they're basically they're nerding out about like tiny pixels in the tile set.
Right.
And that doesn't matter because when you put the tile set together, it kind of looks repetitive and not very fun. And you should probably fix the bigger picture first before you
Yeah.
like perfect the tiny bits.
Right, right. Before you worry about how each blade of grass casts a shadow, you should
Yeah,
maybe look how that 16 by 16 sprite will look tiled over your entire game.
yeah. And like tiled sprites are kind of horrible because the just they're obviously tiled.
Right. Yes. It's tiling
Yeah,
is a curse. Which this is there's let's get an nitty gritty of techniques. Is what you want to do is you want to make a flat surface and then have like certain tiles that you just spread out yourself here and there. They really give a sense of life.
I think like my favorite games to make in this regard were probably um, Don't Buzz Drifter, uh, Super Smash Bro, and the pitching gun game, because like the first one is basically you drive around town, but like all of the assets are PNGs stolen from the internet, and the entire map is just my hometown that I kind of cropped on Google Maps and like cropped buildings out of it and like
Yeah.
stitched them together, so it looks like a big square arena. And people praised it for its graphics for some reason, which it's shit. I literally stitched together some pictures from Google Images.
You
And
know,
like Super Smash Bro. Was just like a game where you're a guy, like the guy's procedurally animated and all that stuff, because like that's the part that mattered,
right.
and everything else is literally like some kit for 2D games with like furniture. And we just kind of threw that together, and you pick up Goku boxer shorts and a comically large spoon
Yeah.
while you're moving out of the house.
If,
Oh, and the last one, it's just kind of made entirely out of stock images. So like the guy holding the gun is just like a stock image of a guy holding a gun, but like sliced up so that his arm bends. And like cats are just cats from the internet.
yeah.
And like the whole thing is just I don't know, you just kind of be not afraid to bullshit your way to have something kind of playable.
Right. Yeah.
Because like it's the big full screen flashy effects that people are gonna notice instead of like the tiny details.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much art and music and sound available on the internet for free. Just use it. Just
Yes, man, people work their asses off to put Creative Commons content on the internet for
yeah.
free for you to use, or
Yeah.
like buy for a cheap amount of money,
Right.
like Kenny, for example. I'm like, that stuff is great. It's top notch. Literally, go support an artist.
Yeah, that's what
If you,
yeah. Just make
I
stuff that's
feel
already
like
made.
a great place to find people to like collaborate with is probably like servers for other games
Yeah.
and servers for like small bands. Because like I don't know, I met a few friends in a server for like a small musician,
Yeah.
and guess what? If you're in a server about a small musician, a lot of people are going to be really interested in making music.
Right. And they
And like, hey, you get to shout out like a not very popular person, like to help them grow their brand. And your free game has a good soundtrack. But like, obviously, don't rip people off and like put their work in a paid game and like don't give them anything because
yeah.
that's a big move. But if it's a free game and you just kind of shout each other out, then hell yeah, like everyone wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You're right. It's as long as people are happy about it. Who, if as long as people say da, 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 I don't want you using my thing, even if it's free, then don't do it. But like if people say like, here's my freemusic.com, go to freemusic.com and slap that in your listen. Sometimes I know when you use Kevin MacLeod music, I can tell. Yeah, I don't even need to look at the credits. There's a vibe to it because a lot of people use that kind of stuff. And you know what? That's fine. We only have
I don't know. I feel like Kevin MacLeod music is kind of notorious. So like if
yeah.
you use it, it kind of creates some expectations about the rest of your game.
For right, well, it creates the expectation of you typed in village music into the internet and you clicked on the first response or something.
Yeah. But like literally there's so many people who are like not very popular and who make amazing stuff for
Yeah,
free. You should absolutely support them.
right. Yeah, there's yes.
But yeah, but like sometimes just kind of when I use some free clip art like Kevin MacLeod for that, bullshit 2008 Flash game vibe, and that's I think great.
Yeah, yeah. Don't no need to reinvent everything and like make your game take 8 years to come out.
Not
Be-
taking yourself seriously really helps with that.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
as soon as you stop taking yourself seriously, you just kind of don't give a shit about a lot of things,
Right.
and you
Yeah.
can get away with so much more mentally. Like, yeah, I'm using a shitty stock image with like the watermark still on it. So what?
Right. Yeah. So listen, you don't need to be so precious because the people who you're comparing that seem more precious probably have a lot more money and time and people than you do. So you're comparing yourself against unachievable goals. And like,
Yeah, but like even other indie games,
yeah.
I feel like it's more important to like stand out than to be perfect.
Right. Yeah.
Like if your game has like the most amazing pixel art in the universe, then that is cool. But like, not everyone can be like Studio Mini Boss, you know?
Yeah.
Not everyone can like make another Celeste.
Sure.
So like, do weird shit. Like I don't know, make game out of pictures of like your friend or something, or like drawings on paper. Or,
Yeah.
I don't know,
And
plasticine or something.
right. And never
Like,
forget that the Celeste people have been in the game for probably over a decade by now,
oh,
making games.
they're they're literally just like if you took all the veterans, from if you knew from like the Toronto area and
Yeah.
from around the world, and mixed them all together, that's the Celeste crew. Like it's
Yeah.
literally professionals from all around the industry. It's impossible to beat.
Yeah. It's not an indie game that came out of nowhere. Remember, even though Games Press may like the game's news cycle may trick you into thinking things, in this, that indie game that came out of nowhere most certainly did not come out of nowhere. It came out of
Nothing just comes out of nowhere.
yeah,
If someone's first game is like super amazing, it's either because they didn't announce their previous games on this count,
yeah,
they didn't publish their previous games, or they're literally just kind of been working on it for 8 years and kind of grew through all of the stages of development
Right.
throughout making it.
Or they had like they were doing non-game work. They're doing other disciplinary, like artistic. Like yeah, nobody's like, oh, I'm going to be an artist, and then 3 months later they make the greatest art.
Yeah.
Unless it's like weird outsider art, and then it's like there's an appeal to that kind of thing, you know.
I feel like
The shags.
yeah, you shouldn't just kind of compare yourself to others because
Yeah.
why bother? As long as people like it, like if people see like your work and they like it, and they see someone else's work and they also like it, they're not gonna like miss out on one of them because
Right.
the other one is better. Like,
Right.
they
They're
just
not.
have double the good stuff.
Yeah, they're not gonna stop liking the thing you like. And also sometimes, kind of like you said, like going for something distinct, I think is more important sometimes because even if I love things that even if they're not perfect are like at least something, and they're not just like nothing.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say the Helix visuals are like particularly great,
Yeah.
but they definitely are very distinct, and they have like
Yes.
such a unique style that it basically sells the entire thing. And like the Helix dialogues, most of them are gibberish, but like that's the appeal.
Yeah. I I will remember The Quiet Man a lot longer than most games that come out, and I don't know if that I will never play it, but it's fascinating and terrible and bizarre. What I'm saying is take your swings, and even if I would become the next cult canon, if anything, instead of make weird trash, and sometimes weird trash is better than precious good stuff.
Yeah.
It's all a mess. Art is impossible to gauge what people will like and what people will not like and what people will connect with. So make something that you will like, not what you think the market will like, because the market's unpredictable.
I mean, kind of. I feel like it's not about like making the games for the market necessarily
Yeah.
that is bad. It's being driven by the incentive of cash. Like,
Yeah.
if your game is not gonna feel as genuine if you make it for someone who you mathematically proven that exists in
Right.
large quantities,
Yes.
than if you make something because you would like you genuinely feel that you have to make this to express yourself.
But also, you could do that, and then you could make a lot of money, and who cares what we say? You know, maybe it works. Maybe
Yeah. But
you're like, this is the right combination of art styles and systems, and it's a roguelike, and now we've made the perfect marketable game.
man, we have this class in our college about like analyzing data for games.
Yeah.
And I feel like the teacher kind of he's trying to be nice, but at the same time he's kind of like sucking all the fun out of everything. It's like, yeah, you can just optimize your game by spreadsheets and math. Like you can't always do that, you know?
Yeah.
You have to have some artistic input in there.
Right. Right. But yeah, the games are a weird mixture of art and software, and I think a lot of people are fall more on the software scale, and that's where you get spreadsheets and that kind of thing.
I feel like it really depends on like who's leading the team.
Yeah.
Because like, if an artist is leading a team, it's obviously gonna be more visually appealing, and if it's a programmer, then yeah, they're gonna have the best new tech. I feel like there has to be a balance of this stuff.
Right. You have to figure out what works for you and what works for what you want to make, or you just do what I do, do everything yourself and not give anyone else any other input, and then you make everything you want to make. And then
Kind of have that, but like at the same time, there's just some things that you don't want to make, and it
yes.
shows.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh yeah.
I had to do this because nobody else would do it. Like
Yes.
I absolutely hate the business side of games, but I also kind of want to maybe live off of them in a few years and not just kind of, starve on the streets,
Oh yeah,
like
no,
bag
yeah,
boxes or something,
yes,
for a living. So
I
I kind of
likewise.
have to do it because like I hate it less than most of the people I work with.
Yeah, yeah, I am. Uns- I also hate business work. Surprising as it may seem, it's no. I guess I hate marketing work is what I don't like. I don't mind like the business aspect and the deal making and like the collaboration and the emailing people and getting people set up with things. I actually really enjoy doing that. It's like the going on Twitter and being like, "Wow, the Indiepocalypse has come out." I typed excited into the gift search engine and picked the third one down, and it sucks. But
Yeah. I feel like kind of the whole getting people excited about your thing
yeah,
is pretty interesting for me, but because like basically you just get to show a fun piece of what you're making,
right,
and that is not kind of boring.
yeah.
I feel like I didn't get tired of deal making in my life yet because I didn't have a lot of it.
Yeah, I do. I do increasing amount of it every week or every month because I
Yeah.
need to start up a new deal because I
And
found myself with
yeah,
time.
your work kind of implies that, running a magazine where you kind of just sponsor a lot of people to make games.
Yeah, yeah. But eventually, I'm getting closer. I opened up a game maker project and I imported my scripts, so I'm getting closer to doing my own work again. 15 months in, living the
Oh yeah.
dream. So, as we approach the end of our segment, Ash, I gotta ask you, um, what do I have to ask you? I don't have to ask you anything. I'm at a loss. I usually had something, but I ended with my own thing. If you were to run a game class at a university, what would your class be?
Probably like introduction to indies for people who want to do them but know nothing. Like
Per.
that is something I have to explain to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's not like anything in particular. It's more like someone just asked me, "Hey, what's like the marketing side of things? Like, how do you do that?" Because I was the one who kind of watched a lot of videos on the topic and
Yeah.
got some experience. Like, someone asked me how to publish things on Steam, or I don't know, like how to code a game from scratch in Godot.
Okay.
And kind of, I feel like I'm probably gonna start making tutorials for it. Like, I have a website, ash-k.dev. And there's currently just like one tutorial for how to do like, the whole Scrum thing
Yeah.
for large teams. Just for because there's not a lot of resources online oriented towards people who are on the team instead of team leaders and big boring manager types.
Well,
And
perfect.
I feel like, yeah, I'm just gonna be filling that out with like, you know, tutorials on basic marketing and like basic game development and like, general stuff on how to get started and like all like a list of just indie contests that you can participate in as a student, for example.
Well,
Because that is not really compiled
no.
anywhere that I could
Yeah. Yeah.
find. It's just something you kind of have to get from your friends.
Yeah. Or do the like a lot of the work yourself.
Yeah, and I mean I'm lucky to have those friends, but like a lot of people aren't, so
Yeah.
might as well share the knowledge with them.
Yeah. So go up there, find yourself some friends. What are you doing here? And with that, I'm not your friend, not you personally, but I'm saying in general, everyone, find a friend that you can talk to. And I'm gonna go to break. Um, thanks for talking, Ash, and we'll be right back in like 3.5 minutes. Two, oh no, ooh, 2 minutes. This is a short one. Goodbye.
Yeah, great.
Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Young by Swearin', which I think Swearin' is my favorite of the post P.S. Eliot Crutchfield projects. I think it is more of like what I liked about P.S. Eliot. But enough about P.S. Eliot. We're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about our next guest, Qasim. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great.
Perfect.
I'm happy to be on the show.
I'm happy to say that you may know him from issue 14 of Indiepocalypse with Star Trapper. So I
Yes.
gotta ask, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
So I was just scrolling through itch.io and I think I was just looking for jams. Either that or I was just looking for games
Yeah,
and I saw Indiepocalypse and I was like, all right, what are the qualifications? And I was like, wow, I can
there are
submit
not
to this.
there are no qualifications.
And I think that's wonderful because I mean, I definitely this is actually like the first game jam I've ever done.
Yeah,
And this is the first game I'm putting out myself. Well, you know, I had like a team,
right.
but we can talk about that more. But yeah, I was just like, wow, this is cool. I hope I get it. And I was just really excited when you emailed me. I was like, wow, I'm in.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
yeah. No,
So
you. I think the first time you submitted, you were like what I consider to be like the hard 11, where it's like I think because you didn't even get into the first time. It was like
yeah, I think for 13, yeah.
yeah, but there was like games like those were the reason why I invented the waiting list email, so people would submit again because I didn't want to lose games. And I was like, well, they can't all fit in. There's only 10 games per issue. That's just how it works. It's my thing that I set up for myself. But so you said you were working as a team. So what would you say your primary job with like within the team is?
So initially, the game started. I started working on the game in 2017,
Okay.
and me and my cousin, we were working on games for the past since 2015. He actually works at a AAA studio,
Okay.
so I always looked up to him, and we started working on games when I was 18, and he like just had a baby. He was 30. So it was like really cool, but then he moved out of state
Yeah.
for a job, and so that kind of like definitely put a damper on things as far as us because we were like meeting up to
Yeah.
game dev together.
Right.
So, it was fun and it's my cousin. I've known him my whole life and we play games together. I mean, he's my older cousin, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, I initially was just doing the art and like the story. And then he was doing the code. And then my friend Eric, who I was actually living with at the time, he's a friend from high school, and we actually lived in the same neighborhood. And I didn't even know it until like senior year,
Okay.
which was crazy.
Yeah.
Like he literally lived right behind me.
Oh wow, and you
It
just like
was
had somehow never seen each other.
never, never crossed paths. And I met him in freshman year, but I didn't find out he lived near me
Yeah.
until senior year. But that's when we really started hanging because we all used to skate and stuff,
Right.
and we still do. Just getting a little older now, so COVID makes things
Yeah.
hard as well.
Right. It's
Meeting up.
not enough places to skate to. Not enough just like going outside and hanging out as much.
Yeah, and when you're a teenager, it's totally different because it's all about having fun, and now I have bills to pay and stuff.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric, he did the music, and he's always he has like a whole catalog of music. Like he just makes music all the time. He's just one of those guys that's
Yeah.
always working on. And I was like, man, if you make the music for this game, that'd be awesome. And yeah, he did it. I made a couple tracks myself because I do play music.
Okay.
And yeah, but um, over time, like the the first build that we had was all coded by my cousin, and it was coded in Unity
Yeah.
and in C sharp. And I've dabbled in that, but
Yeah.
I've tried Unity, and there's lots of lot
Right.
of
Right.
things. So
Programming language is a lot if you are not a programmer, and just like coming to it
right.
fresh.
And programming is really, I mean, I got into it in high school and I got into it through my friend because he was doing it. I didn't even really understand like what it was. I never understood how games were made.
Right.
I thought it was just something really smart people did and, you
Yeah.
know,
It's just like
only
some people
companies.
worked on a
But
computer and
yeah,
games came out of it somehow.
yeah, it's like I used to think like how are games made? Like, are they made like animations? Like, you got to draw every single frame. Like, every frame has to be possible.
Oh
And
yeah.
because I've
Yeah.
always been into art, so but I'm mainly an artist. And yeah, with the game, I like over time, we weren't really making much progress with it. Like, we were 2 years in, and I'd say maybe like 15% of the game was done. And I mean that in regards is like we had a prototype
Yeah.
that is pretty much similar to what the game is now.
Yeah.
But I I was very like feeling very ambitious, you know,
Right.
and like I wanted this to be like a big, and it is, I mean, it's a pretty lengthy game. It's not like super long, but if you do get the chance to play through all of it,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff I put in there. So, but you
Yeah,
know,
I can usually tell when a game is very long because then I will be like, I don't have time to play all of this game. I will put it aside. I will put the rest of it aside for later, and then like, because yeah, when you sometimes have to play like
yeah.
50 games in a month, it's like, well, this game's gonna be hours. I can
Oh
trust that
yeah.
it doesn't get bad in the back half.
I was just like adamant about like making
Yeah,
a long game and having a save because I've always liked, you know, big experiences when it comes to
yeah,
games. But yeah, so pretty much he I mean, he works, like I said, for a AAA company, and I mean, I could tell you, I don't know if he wants me to say
yeah.
though, you know, it doesn't
We'll leave it
mention it, but
undisclosed for the time being.
right. But so he does a lot, you know, he's had to do crunch and stuff before,
Right.
stuff like that. And but you know, thankfully now he's able to work from home, but you know, he's also got a family and stuff, and pretty much we just kind of fizzled out as far as like working on it, and like things were also going on in both of our personal lives,
Right.
so.
Yeah. Well,
But I was
life.
just really, oh no, go ahead. What
I
were
was
you gonna
gonna.
say?
Life has a way of getting in the way of things that you need to do. You know.
Oh yeah, believe it. It's you know, it's been a journey, and that making this game was a journey, and I'm just glad I like finally released it and was
Yeah.
able to finish it. But yeah, I took over pretty much. I like started the game from scratch in
Okay.
Game Maker,
Yeah.
and I initially did it on a on the trial. I think it was
Yeah.
like a 30-day trial. I was like, all right. And I was doing like drag and drop at first. And
All right.
I was like, I don't know about like it's cool. Like when
Yeah.
you
Yeah. No.
it's that's a cool feature.
I've
But
looked at drag and drop occasionally, and I'm like, I'm too controlling. I know I'm gonna run into the problems of drag and drop. Or like I think when I was doing drag and drop, I like an hour in, I just kept dragging the code blocks over. And I'm like, what am I doing?
yeah, it's like it's a neat little thing. And Game Maker, like I really underestimated it for
Yeah.
the longest time because the first time I started making games was like my friend, I got it into it through him, and he was doing C++ plus plus with like SDL and all of that with code blocks. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever used that.
No.
And I
No.
was
I'm
like trying to learn all that. It's like from scratch. But I made like a couple little projects, but that was in high school and I can't remember.
right. No, I am not much of a programmer, which is why I enjoy Game Maker. It's built on top of
Yeah.
C, but like it uses C logic, but it does all the busy work for me.
Yeah, Game Maker really really surprised me with how much, there is to do in it, and like I kind of just know it like the back of my hand, and I've
Yeah.
only been using it 2019, and it's just like, and I just go to the, whenever I want to figure out something, I just Google like blah 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 game maker.
Right. Chances are you're probably not the first person to run to it, and you're all set there. I feel like I knew it was
Right.
like I get the vibe. It's I don't know how I know, but just games maybe it's working in it, but sometimes games just give off like a game maker vibe. Like there's a feel to them.
Uh-huh.
Maybe from using like it's not even like a metric of quality, good or bad. It's just like I could tell, I could tell that it was made in Game Maker.
Yeah, it's
Something
like
in my soul, you know.
it's very like it's very like it's optimal
Yeah.
for 2D, and like you can really just make anything, you know. And it, like even with I've dabbled in the 3D, and it's interesting, but it's very very complex.
Right. Yes.
A lot of a lot of code that I just copy and pasted. But it's
listen,
cool. So,
listen. If the code works, there's no harm in copying and pasting it.
right. And it's like, who cares? Nobody's gonna sue me. Like,
Right. No one's gonna check your code and be like, I can't believe he copy pasted all this. I dug into his source and you're so full of it. No one
right.
has the time for
If
that.
people actually cared that much, I don't
Yeah.
think people. I mean, I'm sure some people do, but not for
Right.
legal action. This isn't the '90s or whatever.
But if people cared that much, take it as a compliment that they cared so much that they want to like
Right.
really dig into your copy paste everything and live that best life of just like, making everything that you want to make. Like don't waste your time. Like it's like we were talking about in the previous segment, it's like it's a wonder that with like if you describe like, oh, I want to make this ambitious project, I just had to rebuild it from scratch. It took you only a couple of years before realizing I need to finish this thing instead of it you being caught in this thing for like 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And like, it's just like when you're working on the same thing for so long, you're just kind of like, it just got to a point where I just had to get it done.
Yeah, right.
Things were just like falling apart. I don't know, because my computer's 5 years old now, so I mean it's relatively old
Yeah.
it's an HP laptop, so it's nothing top notch. But it has a lot of moments where it freezes. I literally broke the game, and, like had to start again, scratch. But like, luckily I still had like all the source code, for, like,
Right. No,
fixes and stuff.
I wrote a laptop like 10 years, or maybe even longer, until it literally just stopped turning on. But that's the
Yeah,
beauty of
man.
Game Maker is you can run on pretty much crappy hardware, and it runs fine enough.
Yeah, it's like pretty lightweight,
Yeah.
you know. The
Like I
games are
was even
lightweight.
if when I was making the games on different like a more powerful computer, I could still demo the games on that old crappy laptop and other crappy laptops that I have that I've just like
Yeah.
compiled from other people over the years. Just like, oh, I got a new laptop. I'm like, can you give me your old laptop? That's
Yeah.
like one of them, like half of
Eventually,
the.
I do want to get like. Eventually, I do want to get like you know, or just really not. Just gotta. I've been like away from work for a while, but I'm actually going back
Yeah,
in 2 weeks.
yeah,
But it's been nice because I've just had time to work on.
yeah. It's surprising, like how much time you find you can have when you don't work. Like
Yeah, it's like fun at first, and then it's like I need some structure.
right, right. You can't just lie around every single day. It's like you
And
start to get restless. You need to find something to do, or like You have to learn how to
It's like
to self schedule.
yes, because I will sit on the computer all day,
Yeah,
take a shower eventually.
and then go back to the computer. And I mean, the computer can do everything, so it's very easy to get trapped there forever.
It's crazy. But thankfully, I got a Switch, so I can lay down with that. Sometimes I just lay down with my, but it's like there's so much darn technology. I feel like I feel like a boomer. There's too
you
many.
just you're just sick of all your screens everywhere. You're like, I've had enough of these. I need to get rid of these screens. I have too many. I lie down with one. I sit up with one. I stand around one. I have one in the shower. I have them everywhere.
And like it's just crazy because like there was a time when it really wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Yes. No, I fully remember like my phones couldn't really do anything. They
Golden
could
years.
make phone calls. I have an iPod because there was a time when you did not have the internet everywhere to play music. You had to
I remember I still have it. I had an iPod Nano, like the square one.
yeah,
I used to play games on now Peggle. Peggle. I don't know if you ever,
yeah. I had Solitaire on my iPod
yes.
that I played with the click wheel.
And I had Sonic on there. Playing
What?
Sonic with the click wheel was terrible.
Yeah, like how's it
It was
even?
really bad.
Yeah, I can only imagine with the iPod. Was this like an
I was
official
I
game?
Yes, it was on iTunes. Like this was in like 2008.
What is? I have to look up
It was just
iPod
hyped to
Nano
have
Sonic the Hedgehog.
like portable Sonic. So
So how does it work? Do you like the next track is right and the previous track is like move left and that kind of thing?
yeah, it was like you touch left and right. I think
Oh, and
I
this is
think you
just like
double tap.
this is just Sonic ass Sonic.
Yeah, it's wild. Like it's
This
the
is Green
Genesis
Hill
Sonic.
Zone One. I'm sorry, I'm watching a video of it.
Yeah, those were the days, man.
Oh,
But yeah, um, so yeah, I made the game in Game Maker, and yeah, I like Game Maker a lot. It's really cool. I'm
yeah.
just like
That's from
I
my
want to
phone.
learn more stuff. Actually, like I've dabbled a little more in Unity,
Yeah,
but there's just so many
yeah.
tutorials.
Right. Yeah, it's so widespread. And the thing is, I think if you want to work in games, I think Unity is much more. Game Maker is nice and all, but I don't think people would be like, I need an experienced Game Maker programmer. You know,
Right.
no one's resume says 6 years of experience with Game Maker. I mean,
Yeah.
who are you gonna work for?
Yeah. Unity is like the standard pretty much, and
Yeah.
Unreal. I've never tried that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they seem good and easy to use, easy-ish enough to use for what you need to do. But like, I wish I could just work in Game Maker.
Yeah. I'm still
Uh,
going strong though. I'm working on two projects.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You always have to keep something going in the meantime, so it's not like you know always got to keep like a project active. Now your two projects, do you work on them like simultaneously, or is kind of like a back and forth kind
Like,
of process?
so I like started one project is like 3D stuff, like
Okay.
through game maker vertex buffer stuff, and I was just like, that's more experimental, but I am trying to turn it into something like I have like a prototype of what I would like, but there's still a lot more that I would.
Yeah.
But I haven't like really been touching that one because the one that I'm working on now is one that I want to release like pretty soon,
Okay.
like as soon as I can. I've
Yeah.
only got like, to be honest, so far, but
Right. But as soon as possible, sort of thing. The best
yeah,
to the best of your ability. That kind of like, who knows? Who knows what your release schedule is as a person making a game on your own? How do you?
right. And I am trying to do like I guess like the minimum viable project or
Right.
whatever it's called, uh, and like get people's opinions on it and stuff. Because
Right.
like when I made Star Trapper, it was like I just had like everything mapped out already and what I
Yeah,
wanted
and you're making like
for.
your EP.
Say that again.
I was you're making an EP. You're not making a full album.
Yeah, yeah,
You're just trying to
pretty
get
much.
like here, hey, here's like the direction I'm going, and here's something I want to try, but like you don't need to commit everything to it.
Right. And I'm pretty satisfied with the project I'm working
Well, that's good. 'Cause, yeah, yes. I think that's the trap of independent development is like, getting so far in, and then you're like, I'm sick of working on this thing, but I guess I have to finish it because I've already put
on.
so
Right.
much work into it.
Yeah. And like mainly like the main thing is just like I wanted the game to be fun.
Yeah.
Wrap your time.
I'm
Just
sorry, I
like
lost you there for like. You wanted the game to be what?
oh sorry. No, I just want the game to be fun. Like that's really what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Or just like gameplay wise. It's more just like focused on uh, you know, game feel.
Okay.
That's what I'm going for more than that with this project. So yeah.
Yeah, and the beauty of game feel is you can just like export all those scripts and just use them all over again. you know,
Yeah.
like once you build something once, like that's what I've gotten into. Like I made more of a conscious effort to start like making my stuff as modular as possible. That way, it wasn't so like specifically baked into. Like I started making a lot of scripts. That way, I could just easily export those scripts into new projects
Hmm.
without being like, oh, this is so tied into my player object that it's like hard to wrestle from it. Instead, it's like here is my script for movement, my script for all these different styles of movement and action and that kind of thing. So I can, if I want to make a game, I can be like, oh, I'll just import my movement scripts, and I'm already halfway there.
Yeah. That is the cool part. I've been like, so I don't have like the latest version of Game Maker,
Yeah.
and I've been like avoiding to download it because I know it like changes thing with scripts.
Oh, okay. I
Like from the version I have.
right, right. I'm so
So
far out that I'm like, I'm not even in the middle of anything. So whatever it did, I can't remember, and hopefully it won't break anything.
yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Like this one project I'm working with.
Yeah. I remember because when
I
I
don't
switched
want
over to two and like everything was different, there's like this weird demarcation on everything because
yeah,
there's all like these deprecated functions, and it's like I can barely read any of this. There's so much stuff.
that stuff literally makes me like just like I hate getting errors that I can't
Yeah.
figure out. And then the whole time it's like something really stupid.
Right. Right. It's
Very
like it's that situation where it's like literally like a typo,
right.
but computers don't know that it's a typo, and it's like throwing an error somewhere so far away from the typo that how will you ever know where to look for it?
Right. Thankfully, I mean, I'm just glad that like it's there's a lot more programs out there. Making a game is as big of a feat.
Right. Yeah. No, it's
Like,
everything is getting easier.
and it's really cool. It's like kind of nerve-wracking because, there's like literally hundreds of games released every day.
Yeah.
So it's just like where, how. But, I'm like once I start putting more stuff out, because I've only got this one out
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah. It's
I don't
like,
know.
listen, I am someone forever searching to the answer for the answer to that question. How do people get attention to their games, and how do people like stand out in that huge sea of constant releases?
Right.
And I'm got a small answer to it, and I don't know if it works. I don't know what like the translation
like,
is.
Another thing is like competing with AAA.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's no way I can make a game that's gonna have like ray tracing,
No.
you
Yeah.
know, 1,000 polygons every character. I'm not. I mean, maybe one day,
Right.
like if
Right.
I get where I could do that by myself. But nah, I don't really know too much about 3D initially.
Yeah. You're
You
not
know,
you're not an expert in Blender yet.
now I can make things in Blender, and I
Okay.
did have. I'm not like crazy. Like I don't really do it as much, but I've made like I made a bicycle and
Okay.
made the Master Sword and made a
Listen,
sword.
that is
It's like
well
something.
beyond what I've been. I think I opened Blender once. And I'm like, I don't understand any of this. I just closed it.
Yeah, and it was definitely I used what's that guy? Blender Guru.
Okay.
His Australian. He was pretty good. This was a couple years ago. I haven't really used it as much because I don't
Yeah.
really do 3D. But I
Right.
did import my models into my Unity project, and I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, you can see
Drawing
how
around
this
and
would
stuff.
work if you had like the time and the drive to work in 3D.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna get rigging, and I just can't. It's too much. I mean, I'll try it again. I
Right.
guess.
Now, I listen. I did a global game jam one year, and I saw rigging like someone was working on it, and their like model was like bending in on itself, and they didn't understand why. And I don't know. And then the person helping them was like, I don't know why this thing is twisting like this either.
It is like so because you think you're doing everything right.
Yeah. And then all
I
of a sudden,
just, you know, you're probably better off just downloading something
yeah, yeah.
already set up.
Let's bring it back to free assets. Let's just go get some free assets, everyone.
And that's pretty cool that we live in that age where, I mean, even like I've been using like old sprites.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody does. Some sprites you can just rip, put a little effect on it
Yeah, no one was noticed.
from
No
the
one's
old
gonna.
game.
Amagon's lawyers aren't gonna come for you anytime
Right.
soon.
But yeah, we live in a pretty cool age. It's just like, yeah, standing out is a challenge.
Yeah, that's an almost unsolvable challenge. I would argue it's best to find smaller scale communities and build them out as like completely divorced from the gaming monoculture because, like you said yourself, it's impossible to compete with AAA. So
Yeah. And
don't
like just
try to be that
getting
indie. It
that
won't.
getting that attention away from someone that would want to get the latest and greatest thing, getting them in your stores.
Yeah, you just kind of need to slowly build out the indie community that's like partially there, but it's not fully there. Like that indie culture that doesn't fully exist in games yet, in the way it does in other ways because of the accessibility and hardware limitations that come with games makes it a little bit more difficult than say just like anybody can play an MP3, so it's pretty easy to get into music.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like with Game Maker, I can't stand. Well, I don't know if this is like this for other. I mean, I don't know if Unity is like this, but like with Game Maker, like I can only export on Windows unless I go through like process when I get it on. I can't just. You got to make it like it's just so much.
Yeah,
I haven't tried it.
Are you saying you don't have a spare Mac lying around to export to Mac?
See, my girlfriend has a Mac, but she doesn't have enough space
Oh.
for whatchamacallit. What is it? The app that you use, Crosscode.
Oh, okay.
Code.
Yeah.
So I just like eventually I want to get a Mac myself.
Okay.
I might even just like put Game Maker on there and literally just take like hard code everything, like steal not hard code from scratch, but
I wonder how much like work has to change, like if you just export your project and import it in like the Mac version, how much extra like work you need to do to change things around to make it work.
Right. Yeah, I mean like I figure they'd be pretty similar.
Yeah.
Because it's just a keyboard,
Yeah. I wonder if it's just like, or I wonder if Game Maker does a lot of the heavy lifting for you and it's like smart enough to like, cover the difference between Windows and Mac on its own. But I don't know.
I just wish there was like an easy, like when you're making a movie on Movie Maker or any other program, you want this on YouTube? You want this on whatever. It's like just freaking port my thing.
Right. There's no like, we need a video game just like an execute, like not an executable because that's so like soft, like hardware dependent, like OS dependent. We just need like this OS free piece of file that we can just play around with.
Right. I mean, like, I guess like text files.
Yeah.
Like that, right? Because they can go from Windows to. So.
Or like HTML5 can maybe. I don't know though. Anyway, we are coming up on the end of our time here, Quisim, and it was great to talk to you.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you.
I will ask you one final question as we go out, which is, what should I get to eat after the show? I have to bear in mind I'm on the East Coast, so I have to go to the grocery store, and there's only like one grocery store open.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, if you're leaving the house,
yeah,
you're gonna go to the grocery store.
Because it's that or like Domino's. I don't think I want Domino's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I just ate pizza yesterday.
I would. They might be.
Wait, what was that? I missed that last part. Probably the most important part.
Chick-fil-A, I don't know if they're open right
now. Oh, I don't know either. Yeah, I don't know. I will look around to see what my options are. But with that, with me, I haven't gotten Taco Bell in a very long time. I feel like I'm afraid it'll be bad. I used to eat a lot of it. But with that, thank you for being here. I'll be going on a break. I'll see you all in 2:35, give or take. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse, the radio. That was Carabeth Catalino with Gift Horse. I am here with the last guest of the show, Sam, who you may know from issue 5 of Indiepocalypse with A Change of Heart, A Magical Girl Adventure. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Perfect. Glad to have you at the show. Important question. How did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Well, it's kind of a theme going, but I guess in my case, I had just finished Change of Heart, which is the longest sort of jam game I had done. And I was like, I wonder if there's any sort of showcase jams or finish it jams or polish it jams. And I was just kind of searching through the list and stumbled across it.
Oh, perfect. That is the most common way, so I'm glad that people continue to stumble upon it. I now put paying anthology in the thing because I remember seeing one of those real fucking scam of jams that makes you pay for their entries.
Oof. No. No thanks.
Yeah, I saw it. Listen, I have no problems talking about how I think Indie Lift is a fucking grift, and it's like,
oh jeez.
You know, it's like, because that's the one with like, oh, $1,000 prize, but you have to pay $30 or something to get in. So it's like, they're making that money back hand over fist.
Yeah, no, I saw that on Discord, and I didn't look at it any deeper. That's interesting.
Got a little spicy there and kicked my cable out. But we're good now.
Oh jeez.
But no, yeah, yes, and I could also offer people $1,000 to be an Indiepocalypse if I charged them $30 to enter. Anybody could. You know how many people you need to submit to get 1,000 out of 30? It's not a very big number.
No, that's true.
It's like 30-ish. But anyway, this isn't all about me creating shade and throwing it around and starting internet drama. Listen, can I start indie game drama? I should. It might be fun. Mostly because I'm not.
Get attention, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not online enough to create drama. It's like, I feel like if someone tried to respond in kind, I'd be like, I don't care. It doesn't change what I think. But anyway, about your game. So now this is interesting. You create like a series of games, and are these all Game Jam games, or like, or do you just occasionally like start them off from a Game Jam game? This Basin Lake City Magical Girls.
So the core base is a tabletop role-playing campaign that I've run for several years, although it's been on hiatus with COVID. And I've run tabletop probably for, nearing 20 years, something like that.
All right.
And I've always, in the back of my mind, been like, I'll make a video game out of it. But then I always never do because it's a ton of work and I've got so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
And kind of got back into game making a few years ago, and I was doing weekly game jams quite a bit. And the timing of like suddenly working from home and being at home all the time and, COVID lockdowns, suddenly I had a lot more free time. So, and I got invited by another creator from the weekly game jams who was running their own jam on Magical Girls.
Yeah.
And it just happened to perfectly align with my current game, tabletop game. And I was like, time to do it. And the series continuing forward has just been game jams because I find them highly motivating.
Yeah.
It's like if I have a deadline and it's got to be done, then
it's got to be done. So I bring this up because at one point I had like a vaguely similar idea even that I kind of even started working on, whereas I wanted to make a series. I'm sure I was being very clever with my own, Magical Girl Deconstruction is probably hot on the presses and hot in everyone's mind. Sure. And I was like, I have an idea, and mine was going to be just like stuff in like, and it was also going to be like stylistically different games. Or like it was going to be episodic, but like stylistically different within the episodes to like, because I'm a real nerd for gameplay equals, or like tying gameplay and narrative together.
Yeah.
And that's weird sometimes with episodic games because it's all usually just like, mostly episodic games are just adventure games.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, no, I've considered doing episodes, but with the jams, part of it was just like what's available and what interests me, and
Right.
also I'm kind of testing the water. What do I actually like to make?
Yeah.
For instance, I had always imagined these being like a role-playing game, kind of JRPG style, maybe with some Paper Mario-esque mechanics, which I did do in my second game, Within Her Heart.
Yeah.
But building that, I mean, I didn't use RPG Maker. I do everything in Construct.
Okay.
And
I dabbled in Construct for a time.
yeah, I do enjoy Construct quite a bit. I thought it would be, in my mind, I thought it would be easier than making an action game, and it turned out to be much, much, much harder.
Yeah.
I just didn't even my mind didn't even wrap around the idea that, oh, you have to make a system for just even having the menus work.
Right. Yes. Yes. Turns out every part of RPGs there are a lot of systems piled on top of one another.
It's funny, I'm actually adding leveling up now just because I'm in a break between jams and I don't have time for anything big. So I'm going back and digging in. I'm adding leveling features, which was something people demanded.
Oh yeah, like gaining experience points, and then those experience points,
So the entire game on that one was balanced to kind of just be a short story and be very focused on like sort of maintaining hit points and MP and but there was no leveling up, and people were like, well, what's the point of fighting monsters? You should just avoid all of them. And it's like, oh,
you're right there.
You're not wrong, so maybe I'll go back and add that.
Right. Yeah. The balance, the great RPG balance of like leveling up versus like playing the game, and I really think a lot about JRPGs a lot. They're like a genre I'm fascinated with, and in terms of like understanding and making one eventually one day in that style.
Sure. Yep.
And like, yes, how do you balance the leveling and stats and systems and those sorts of things?
Yeah, it helps me understand Paper Mario's very simple stats. Gain a hit point there, gain a one power there here. It makes it much easier to balance than like a Final Fantasy where you're going from 10 damage to 9999 by the end.
Yeah. I keep all the numbers below 100, and it doesn't look impressive, but it makes the math easy, makes the balancing easy.
Definitely.
I've played like a lot of role-playing games that also use like very similar, like tabletop role-playing games that use similar very low number systems.
I've been GURPS for many, many years just because it's like one core set. I don't have to think too much about how a rule is going to work.
Which one is GURPS?
Generic universal role-playing system.
Okay. And do you use just like GURPS as GURPS, or GURPS is like a setting on top of it?
Yeah, it doesn't really have any setting built into it. It's just based to be anything. You can have fantasy, sci-fi, and the book itself comes with no real setting information. I mean, it's got default magic spells and stuff like that you can use, but I tend to avoid that.
Right. I look at RPG books and I go, how do you build characters? And then I throw away the rest. Because I don't need your lore. I'm a creative artist. I can make up my own.
Yep.
Okay. So it's been so long since we've talked RPGs around here. So, because actually I consistently play like once a week over Discord. So it was it was like a scheduling issue, or was it just like you didn't want to make the transition over to Discord? You preferred like being in person?
I'm big on the in-person thing.
Okay.
Discord or online was brought up, but I just personally didn't feel like I was going to be able to run it the same way if I was at a long distance.
Yeah, even if you can like see the person, I think seeing someone like through a camera is still not quite the same.
Yeah. I totally agree. I don't even have a functioning webcam, so that would be tough too.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't either, which is why we don't have them for this show, because I don't want to get one, and I don't want to
make I'm not big on putting my face out there anyway.
Right, exactly. No, neither. It would surprise you to know that I am not actually an elf. Well, I generally assume everybody is accurately presenting themselves as they are in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Shiba Inu. I make video games.
You're a Shiba Inu looking at another Shiba Inu?
Yep.
at all times. Yeah, no, listen, this is the internet. If we can't trust that we're accurately presenting ourselves, what can we trust? But so have you been doing like the same this is a question I'm always curious about is have you been doing the same like setting and session basically for all these years, or do you like do a lot of like one shots and kind of like mini campaigns or those sorts of things?
If you look at the games I did on itch.io, you can kind of see that I quickly fall into series.
Okay.
Like my weekly game jam thing, I went into a very healthy mentality of I'm just going to mess around, make silly little games, not worry about it. And by the end, there was like lore building up, and I was staying up till 3 a.m. to get it out for the deadline.
Yeah.
Got a little crazy. And so when it comes to my tabletops, it was kind of the same thing where I would always have like an overarching story. I didn't do, there might be adventures and little adventures but they'd all build to something.
Okay.
So generally long storylines that have some sort of ending before we move on to a whole new setting if we're going to do that.
Okay. I always wonder, like, because I feel like there are the people out there that's like, I've been playing the same character as how I play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, no, I do change settings, but it's usually a several year cycle.
Yeah.
In fact, when this particular game ended, I immediately decided I want to do more of it. And since it was very anime inspired anyway, I decided to call it a season, and I was like, season 2 is coming.
Yeah, I had a system when I was running, before I started this, and I was running gameplay or tabletop stuff. I had this whole weird, like, system of, like, I was trying to make it like kind of like semi-serialized fiction, but like a game.
Yeah.
And that was sort of like there's actually like a fairly decent system specifically for like anime stuff called OVA, which is like, I like very lightweight systems, but that have like the crunch there if you want it.
Sure. Yeah. I kind of treat GURPS that way. Like, there are lots of rules in the book, and the opening page says ignore as many rules as you'd like. And
Yeah.
I kind of just, don't worry about that too much.
Right. It's not about like, tabletop role-playing games are not about winning, or winning is about having fun
Funny, 'cause
with friends.
I do remember my teenage games felt like everybody thought it was about winning, but
Yeah.
Thankfully branched out from that.
No, I've heard stories from actual adults talking about their gameplay session where they're talking about how they figured out the rules and they did a really good rule stuff and made their character do good stuff. And I think, what if your character did bad stuff? Wasn't that fun? If you screwed up on things and made mistakes. But that's like, that's all personal preference to play style, which people do what they do.
Sure.
If you want to
definitely
play Dungeons and Dragons and be an elf and roll all the good stats, if you want to be a real minimum Maxwell about your life, I'm not going to stop you. But so, speaking of anime-inspired questions, that reminds me of a question we had from a previous guest here.
Sure. Oops.
Okay, they're not sure. Usually, people write us like. So what was that?
You cut out.
I did cut out for a moment.
I think you cut out.
I did. I am back. Hello, right?
Yep.
Good. I worried for a second, like maybe OBS is picking me up, but Discord is not picking me up because I don't have Discord. I'm looking at. So this previous guest asks, what is your favorite anime theme song opening?
Favorite anime theme song opening? Oh man, that's a good question.
And this can be like, what is like gets you the pumped? What is like a good combination of like visuals and music?
I have seen a lot of anime in my days. I'm trying to. It's funny because now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's like my brain is just glossing them over so quickly. I don't know if I'm being able to fall on one.
What's a good one? We don't need favorites. We don't listen. I don't subscribe to favorites around in these parts. When people ask me what's your favorite, I'm like, buddy, I don't know. I just like things.
Let's go way back. I guess the opening song to Lane was a pretty good one. I like that one a lot.
How is Lane? People seem
People
to talk about Serial Experiments Lane.
It's a strange and interesting show.
Okay.
I admit it's been quite a few years since I've seen it now because I watched it back when it first came stateside.
Yeah.
And I did rewatch it several times back then, but it's got to be 10-something years since I've seen it now. It's a very interesting interpretation of what the internet's going to become.
Okay.
From a time when they had no idea what it actually was going to become. It's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. All right. Because I keep seeing him like, should I watch this show? Because it occupies a space in my brain where it's like at some point in my life it got sorted into the boxes says edgy anime, and
I
then
don't know if I'd call it edgy. I'd call it bizarre.
okay,
I'd call it interesting. I don't know if I'd quite call it edgy.
yeah. So maybe
It could be a little slow. I definitely had many friends who were like, I can't watch this. It's too slow. Like, or they just walked away.
yeah.
But I find it pretty interesting, and
Okay.
the creator of it has done other things that I like a lot. So
What else
I
have they
recommend his
done?
work in general. Hibine Renmei was probably my favorite anime of all time for many, many years.
I don't know what that is
I would've-
either. Or maybe I don't know it by
Fairly old.
name. Let me
It's
sloppily
fairly old.
type it into the internet and it'll know what I'm saying. Oh, I typed it way too sloppily that time.
Another one he did was Nia Under 7, which was a strange comedy about aliens in Japan.
Okay, I don't know any of these shows, but maybe
They're all like 2000s stuff.
Okay.
so-
I think that's like maybe my. I don't know if
I had-
that's like my anime
had
dead
a fu-
zone.
Yeah, I had a falling out with anime between like probably 2003 and 2008 where I just didn't watch anything and then fell back into it in a big way since then.
Okay, so I guess this is actually I feel like something that happens to a lot of people. So I gotta.
Mhm.
What is the thing that brought you back in? Do you remember?
I mean, I remember the specific show.
Okay.
I don't know why. I literally have no idea why this is the show.
No, I
The show
have.
Scho- the show School Rumble. It
Okay.
was in the early days of streaming, and I think it was Funimation had like a channel on some streaming service at the time, and my wife and I were just looking for something to watch, and it was like, well, here's a thing that's available for free, and I just completely fell in love with it, even
Yeah.
though objectively it's probably not that particularly good.
No,
Like a sweet spot brought me right back into it all.
no. I recognize this guy with the glasses and the beret, or not beret, but hairband.
Yeah, it's a strange, funny show. I would not say it's amazing, but it just worked perfectly for me at the time.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
listen, that happens for all of us. Like my reintroduction was Nishijo, and
Oh yeah, Nishijo's great.
I
I
had been
didn't see
off
it till much later.
I had been off
I
anime for
remember-
a very long time, and then for some reason I'm like, I'll watch this show on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I watched the first episode on Crunchyroll when it was coming out, and I was like, "What even is this?" And then I eventually got it on Blu-ray and enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah,
Although my
and
wife was a little less thrilled by it.
it's listen, it's for a very specific taste.
Yeah, no, it's definitely definitely for a niche.
I think honestly, I think about that show quite a bit, or like that whole guy's like sense of humor. And
Also,
I want,
just the huge amount of like over animation on certain scenes is hard
Yeah.
to forget.
like, I can't tell if like he is secretly like super funny and is just like very aware of like I can't tell if it is a perfect expression of like Japanese humor or like someone who is like being super ironic about it because they can't stand it, or like this weird mishmash of the two.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but it's probably part of the charm.
Yeah, I'm not in the culture, so humor is like, something that's like you definitely need to be in the culture to fully understand.
Yeah.
Especially like irony. How does Japan have irony? Like we do? I don't know.
feel like it's probably a universal trait to some degree,
Yeah.
whether it's exactly the same or not.
Right, right. Sometimes I see people say, "Oh, they don't have irony like we do," but also like I don't trust what fucking nerds on the internet have to say about Japan. I feel
Yeah,
like
definitely.
of all the countries that get like culturally flattened, Japan has it some of the worst.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a friend who has been there a bit, and he says that to me. So I'll trust him more since he's been there for months.
Right. Yeah, that's I get particularly bugged about that one, mostly because when you enjoy games and comics, a lot of those come out of Japan, so you think about the country more than other countries you're not in, and you're like, I hate people's opinions of this. But anyway, we're not here. This isn't an anime podcast.
Uh-oh. Yep. Now it's anime tube.
Oh, who cares? I could have an anime podcast. I enjoy it sort of as much as I watch TV. I have like one episode left of Kaiba that I've yet to get around to finishing.
Yeah, that's one I should check out sometime.
I like it. Have you seen any of like any other Science Saru stuff?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
I've seen a few.
All right. Have you seen the early like Mind Game, like the early stuff?
I saw Mind Games actually when I was working at a game development camp for
Okay.
a summer. And one of my coworkers on the first night there whipped out his laptop, and that's what he had on it.
Oh,
So
perfect.
we watched it.
Perfect.
I had no idea who it was by or what it was at the time, but
what
I just remember it being a very strange experience.
what a beautiful introduction to Yuasa Mind Game would be.
I can't remember. Did he do Cat Soup?
He did do Cat Soup, yes.
Okay, that was my introduction to him, though. Then,
Okay.
because I did see that before. I just didn't know it was the same person at the time.
I think actually the first thing I saw of his was like that Adventure Time episode he did.
Oh, yep.
I was like, what is this episode? It looks so good.
Yeah, no, he's got some good stuff.
Yeah, it's like some real like cartooning.
I think
It's
Ride
weird
Your
to
Wave
say.
was one of the last movies I saw in theaters before theaters closed.
Mine was Tokyo Godfathers.
Oh, nice. That's a great one.
I did like that whole Satoshi Kon G Kids re-release cycle because I'd never seen like any of those movies besides Paprika.
Yeah, Millennium Actress is probably still like my favorite anime movie of all time.
Yeah.
Saw it many years ago and fell in love with it.
Yeah, I think when I became aware of it, it was like, hey, get the DVD for $80 on Amazon. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Geez. It's on Blu-ray now, though, I think.
Yeah.
for
Oh, I got them all
standard
now.
price. Okay,
Teenage
good.
Andrew is very excited to have this whole Satoshi Kon library.
Yep.
I'm back again. I remember seeing so many AMVs of Perfect Blue and thinking, this movie looks awesome.
Yep. It's a good one.
The movie was awesome. Oh. Sam, what is your experience with AMVs?
I have very little experience with AMVs. It's funny because I was very into anime, but I wasn't into the internet culture around it at all. It was
Okay.
very much just my own little bubble.
Yeah.
And by the time I got into like internet anime analysis and stuff, I'm sure it's still out there, but it felt like it had kind of died back a little bit. AMVs.
Yeah, I think animemusicvideos.org is still going strong. But yeah, I think culturally it's faded out, and I'm bringing it back slowly.
Nice.
Hopefully, I one night, I think last month at this point, where does time go? I decided to do like AMV night because I had people from an anime podcast on the show. So I
Nice.
I went and like found a lot of AMVs instead of like the music, and I was like, well, yeah, let's all get back into AMVs. Because I
feel like that was a cultural moment that I missed, and I regret that.
Well, I'm bringing it back. We're bringing back AMVs. That's actually how we downloaded music when we were younger, because it was a good way to get a very high quality version of a song, and you knew exactly what song you were getting.
Nice. Not like Napster or whatever.
Right. Well, exactly, because you would get burned too many times by like LimeWire of like a shitty version of a song, or like it's not quite the right song, or it's like not properly like explicit or non-explicit, that kind of thing. But
Sure.
if I download, System of a Down's Toxicity set to Naruto, then I know I am getting that song.
Yeah, that's something I had not considered.
And it was like also like a weird way of like learning about shows and learning about like bands. Because you'd be like, well, I really like, I don't know, Gunsmith Cats, but
Well, there's a classic I haven't seen in a long time. I think I have a VHS tape of it tucked away somewhere.
Oh, it's the VHS days. I was never into the VHS days. I think my first anime was like that like a $60 version of Akira I bought at a Suncoast Video.
Oh yeah, I remember Suncoast. I made many purchases there. I got into anime at the very tail end of VHS because I remember the moment where I realized, oh, I should stop buying these tapes. And
they're
never
so
look at them again.
right. That was a rough
I just saw
era.
I remember having Record of Lotus Wars, and I was on like tape 5 of 13.
Yeah.
And then this DVD set appeared that was the entire thing for like $60, and I'm like, oh no, time to switch.
Yeah. But it was like only Suncoast that had like I don't know how regional Suncoast is.
Oh, I'm on the East Coast too, so
Yeah.
We had Suncoast, Media Play. I worked in a Media Play before they all went under.
So I remember we had to I remember driving like an hour out to like almost like Midwestern Mass to get like Char's Counterattack because you couldn't order it offline, or like we were kids, we didn't have like credit cards, so we had to like.
Yeah, no, Amazon was not a thing yet.
Yeah,
it was not at that level.
Right. And then it was like, well, how else are we gonna get the like? We're kids who like Gundam Wing, but like, there's rumors of the real Gundam out there somewhere.
Yeah, for better or for worse, probably worse for my younger wallet. There was a Suncoast fairly close to me.
Yeah, no, that is a time. As we nostalgically reminisce about anime, and what a different era it was. I missed the hair back then,
Oh yeah, the different stages of how it all looked.
Yeah, listen, I can't tell if it is like nostalgia for borrowed nostalgia, or it is like I just prefer that like style, or it's like I prefer tradition or like non-digital animation coloring, or what it is.
There's an awkward period where I definitely think the digital stuff got worse. For instance, that show Haibane Renmei that I was recommending, and even Lane.
Yeah.
Both of them I think are great shows, but both of them suffered from being what they call early digipaint. So
right.
It's low resolution digital drawings, and it's there's no way to up-res that's going to look awesome.
Yeah, I feel like 3D is like finally getting better. Like, but I feel like most
Beastars,
3D, yes,
stuff like that.
I've never watched Beastars because I enjoy it and I don't want to like. What if it looks? Have you watched Beastars?
Yes, I thought it looked. I haven't read the manga, only like the first chapter in a sampler, but I thought it looked great.
Okay.
From the studio that did Land of the Illustrious, which was also pretty solid.
That's what I remember hearing. They're like, that's also something that I read. I'm a reader, not a watcher kind of guy.
I've been reading the comic just because there's no signs of it ever coming back. So
right. Well, I mean that's what they do. They put out one season to promote the comic, and then.
Well, I also did. I don't know if this is just a rumor or not, but the comic's been getting really slow, and I heard somewhere that the mangaka got a PS5 and disappeared.
Which one is this now?
Land of the Illustrious.
Oh yeah, it has really like. That's one of the ones.
The rumor that I heard was that she got a PS5 and was like, I'm gonna be busy for a while, and disappeared. Yeah.
Now that I think about it, that hasn't updated in a while. I've been very big on like. Also, I haven't gotten I feel like I have like a million like books in pre-order that I just haven't gotten a delivery on. Well, what has been delivering to my house pretty consistently is Glacier Bay Books, independent manga.
Nice.
Plugged for like one of my favorite distributors right now. My favorite indie publishers, or like one of the few indie publishers.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Super good. They have these 2 anthologies which are exceptional.
Nice.
Big fan of their work, and I like to shout out things that I am big fans of. They helped me set up like issue 6, I think 6 or 8. I always forget which one it is. In indie mangaka in Japan, they collaborate. They like worked as an intermediary to have a comic in Indiepocalypse.
Oh, cool.
But anyway,
Yeah. Speaking of shout outs,
yes,
I do want to shout out my musician collaborator, Face Melting Solos at Face Melting Solos on Twitter, because
perfect.
he has provided some awesome sound design and really amazing OSTs for my games.
Yes. That is one of the things that like is the trickiest to do on your own. I feel like you can.
I have no musical talent
Right.
whatsoever. Like, I enjoy music, but I cannot play a note to save my life.
Yeah.
And as for sound effects, it's like I can open up BFXR, I think that's what it's called, and
Yeah.
click around and make bleeps and bloops. But his work definitely has taken everything up to a whole nother level.
Yes, you can definitely tell. You can smell a BFXR from a mile away. As someone who also used it to quite a bit. What am I gonna do when I do sound effects? I haven't thought about that. When I get back into doing things, I wonder if it's just
It's tough.
back over to
tough.
BFXR, or back to I'll do my own private Foley set work.
Yep. Freesound.org.
Yeah, probably. Who knows? But we are nearing the end of our segment here, Sam.
Mhm.
So I've got to ask, do you miss Suncoast Video? The idea of it? Or the idea of the mall?
Less and less every day.
Okay.
I mean, we still have Best Buy, and they've still got a sad little tiny section of anime. So if I
Yeah.
want that experience, I can. But at this point, the experience of walking into a store isn't something I'm hyped to do anyway.
Right.
It's gonna be a while. Before that feels comfortable again.
Yes, right. Listen, my brain has been able to, after these long years, I've been able to segment between COVID and non-COVID ways of thinking. And anyway, we're going on a break. Thank you for being here, Sam. We'll be back with everybody in about 3 minutes and 32 seconds, and then
Sounds good.
goodbye. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Aloha, Summer Away. We are here with everyone in the group chat. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So for this segment, I never am sure what to do, and sometimes I am even less sure what to do, like I am with tonight. Just tired lately. This might be a short one. Might be. I say, oh, this might be a short one. Only 2 hours long. Only do a 2.5 hour long show. It's amazing that people listen to this, considering like it is admittedly a very long show. But does anyone have any questions for any of the other guests? Any burning questions, statements, or otherwise, like proclamations out into the ether? Okay then. So something I need to ask, a very important question. I see a lot of what do you call those things that are stupid and I hate on Twitter, where people are like, it's basically like quote retweet bait, where people ask for your opinions and it's like, one of these has to go, or here's a thing of characters, this birthday is your best friend, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
know what you mean.
see this stuff on Facebook even more.
yes.
I feel like it's just kind of it time traveled from 50 years ago.
That's
and ended up here.
that's what I'm wondering.
Oh wait, sorry, not 50 years ago, but like it's 10 years old ago. Internet, definitely.
That was the
Except
the kind of perspective I
Reskin to look more respectable in 2020.
yeah.
And sadly,
Wait.
and sadly, probably still gets more likes and retweets than any of my tweets.
Yeah, so that's what I was wondering, because I was like, I remember being on Facebook back in the college Facebook days, and thinking, "Wow, I am too cool for these," and then I still feel like I am too cool for these. Why are people doing them? These are for old people, and I'm like, you look like you're probably younger than me. Why are you? I guess what I'm asking: am I very cool or am I out of touch?
Ads come and go, I guess.
Some of those are pretty hard decisions, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I get into them, like the food ones especially. I think I saw one earlier today. It was like pancakes, bacon, grits, or eggs. Get rid of one.
Well, that one's easy for me.
Is it grits?
Oh yeah, it's grits.
See, I love grits though, and I love everything else. But I guess I would get rid of grits only because I don't want to get rid of pancakes or bacon. I eat so many eggs. Eggs are just easy to come by, you know.
I don't think I've eaten a grit in my life.
Really?
Yeah. It might be like...
It's like...
So wait, as game devs, we need to somehow make this into a game and monetize it, correct?
Right. The game is make Andrew eat grits.
In the time that we have till the end of the podcast.
Right.
I mean, really, as much time as we want. There's no rules. There's no masters here. So are you suggesting that I make grits and eat them and find out? I have to go to the store and get some?
If you like savory.
Okay.
It's like savory oatmeal, but
okay.
not sweet at all. I mean, it comes from corn, apparently.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once when I was working at that same game development camp that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, I did not touch them. Some of my coworkers liked them, though.
I feel like New England is not prime grit country, you know?
I was in Georgia when this happened. So.
Yes, all right.
Yeah, it's definitely a southern thing. But I'm not really in the south. I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm on the East Coast.
But yeah, that is... I see there's like grocery stores have like one box of quick grits, and occasionally I think, what is a grit? Maybe I should... It looks like oatmeal. Maybe I should try them one of these days. But I'm like, nah. I will not. I went to a Waffle House once. That's good enough for me. I wonder if I did have grits at the Waffle House, not even realizing. Maybe they did give me them. I knew I had waffles because, you know,
Got to.
it was the house of it.
You'll get kicked out if you don't order waffle.
Yeah, I was at an anime convention. Well, the game portion of an anime convention. I feel like there was like a number of those, like an increasing number of those, or I'm becoming increasingly aware of them.
Yeah, my local convention started one of those up before COVID, so I don't know how that's gone anymore, but it was pretty cool at the time.
The last one I went to was either in, no, because I did Atlanta, then I did... When did I cut out?
You said Atlanta.
Atlanta. Then I did Ohio. Had one because I met a guy at Atlanta, and he said go to Ohio. I was like, yeah, I'll go to Ohio. And then I did Connecticut because it's local to me.
Yep, same.
Good old Connecticut.
That's actually exactly what I was thinking of.
Oh, CT Fig.
Maybe we passed on the floor of their little indie game section area.
Wait, were you at the last? Were you like? Did you have?
I was just an attendee.
Okay. Someone from the Connecticut scene asked me to like go to a dinner, and then I said maybe, and then I had a recording to do with a friend, and I never went. So. It's possible we were mere seconds. Speaking of your friend living right behind you, you know?
Oh, yeah.
We could have
Yeah, that
even
was
met
crazy.
at this point, and I would, but have no context for it, because Indiepocalypse didn't exist back then.
Yeah, no, all I remember was I played some of the games. I grabbed some of their cards, which I still have sitting on my desk, and I think I wish listed one of them on Steam.
Okay. Do you remember a wrestling game?
Not off the top of my head. I
Okay.
remember one with like a platformer with a little fox character who'd jump around and grab things. And
Okay, yeah, I know that game. That exact game. Well, then I think we dodged a bullet here. This has happened once before on Indiepocalypse Radio, where it was like, no, we've met before. I was like, oops. But to be fair, that was in Atlanta, and that show was like 4 days of like 8-hour days that I did by myself. So I understand that I gave myself credit there to forget people. But, well, I'm sure post-COVID, then I will almost certainly be in that area because I want to travel. Gonna bring Indiepocalypse around the world. I feel like I'll be like, in my mind, I feel like everything could like demonstrably like change. Like once everything goes back up, it's like, wow, if I go to conventions, this thing sells like crazy. I would feel like that could be like a distinct possibility, or it could just be business as usual, and I am very anxious about which it'll be.
Definitely trying to go to a convention. I was actually gonna go to one last year. Well, I had it planned, but because of COVID, it
Yeah.
was canceled. But the only other convention I've been to was Otakon, and that was years ago. That's in Baltimore.
Yeah, and they all
Nice.
have like game things now, or a lot of them do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the one I was trying to go to is in Philly. But I think they might have it this year.
Yeah, I guess if they're late enough in the year, everyone's.
yeah, they're kind of shooting for September. I don't know if I'll be ready for crowds yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So scary.
I
I have a question
Yes.
for everyone. I know you guys mentioned Suncoast. I've never been to one of those. I don't know if they, I mean, I'm young, so
Yeah.
I don't think that was my time, but I did go to Blockbuster,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I
Yep.
used to rent games from there a lot. I don't know if you guys ever rented from Blockbuster games.
I didn't. I rented from the local Hollywood Video.
Oh
So
yeah.
my friends rented from Blockbuster. Funny story, I did not have a console until I was 18 because my parents thought video
What?
games were a waste of time.
Okay. I mean, they are. Then your parents aren't wrong.
She was
I was reflecting on that earlier and thinking, would I have made so many things if I had the ability to sit and play video games instead? Probably not.
That's
I
interesting.
honestly never went to Blockbuster, mostly because I'm too young for it, and also because I was in an entire different part of the world at that time.
Right.
Uh,
Did Blockbuster have the saloon doors? Was that one of those video stores?
yes.
Okay.
I guess
Our
they're like
Blockbuster was like a bank.
I mean, it's just crazy. Like, they really used to be like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep. Funny Blockbuster story. My friends kept renting Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation, but none of them owned a memory card. So
Oh, no.
we had permadeath in that game.
That.
It definitely made it more memorable than probably would have if we had just had a save card and could reload every time we died.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I remember playing games before I actually had a memory card. I had a PlayStation, and I would just play like the first part of every game over and over. Like I didn't know what a memory card was because I didn't that young. But I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna keep playing the same game, from the beginning.
Yep.
No,
Doesn't matter.
I'd never had I didn't have an N64 memory card until much later in life. Like actively, okay, I think I do have one now. So no Gauntlet Legends for me or whatever other games require that memory card. But now it's the internet. I can just emulate everything. I have as many memory cards as I want.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank God for PJ64 and Dolphin and
Yeah,
all that.
I just use RetroArch because it's easy.
Say I
I feel
emulated
like
all Super Nintendo stuff back when I was in high school. That was my bread and butter since I didn't have any consoles.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
then
like
like,
playing without a memory card kind of just takes you back to the days when the games would have limited lives and you would just have to beat them in one sitting.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the
yeah,
old arcade games for like the NES time.
Yeah, yeah. No, it definitely made the Resident Evil very memorable and very tense. We had a system where it was like when you died at a sleepover, you had to pass the control to the next person. That was their turn to try and beat the entire game.
yep. Yeah, we used to do that in my elementary school. We had like before and after care, like before our parents would drop
Yeah.
us off and all
Yeah.
that. And we used to play games and we had the list and we would write your name on the list. And like whenever you died in the game, you get your name crossed off. I miss those.
Okay, so this is an important question that's going to lead to a proposition, not for everyone, but just like a general idea into the throwing an idea. So, did any of you have like kind of custom rule sets among friends for games? For like cooperative play, or like kind of like for like if I'm playing a single player game, here are our rules to how we play, or that kind of thing.
Hmm. I
Um,
mean,
Feel like I don't know. The only thing that pops to mind is like Counter Strike. We had an unspoken rule: don't use the AWP.
Okay.
it's been so long since I played co-op. So it's hard for me to say actually. I mean like Minecraft, I guess. I mean, you can still play co-op, but
Right.
whatever. That game.
tabletop RPGs count for this question?
Yeah.
Yeah, in that case, we make up rules all the time. Like, we kind of, like, so the Powered by the Apocalypse system, you know, the
Yeah.
Apocalypse World games, they kind of have a minor quirk where you can take, like, quirks from other rule books for a character. So you would end up with a character that has just +5 to all of their attacks. It's hyperbole, but
Yeah.
like in the world of the game, +2 is the difference between just grazing someone lightly and absolutely killing them instantly. So when someone shows up with a +2, we kind of came up with rules for like nerfing that, where you would have basically durability on weapons,
Yeah.
durability on your own fists. That rule was quickly revoked because it wasn't very popular.
Right.
But
But
like different abilities and characters was kind of ambiguous in how it should be played out.
yeah.
We kind of come up with limits all the time.
Okay.
Like for a character that can transform into any form they want, like what are the limits, you know?
Right. Right.
You transform into a grain of sand. You transform into a massive building. You just look like a floor plank and just perfectly, you know, camouflage yourself with any type of surroundings.
Yeah. Then like the self-imposed kind of like limits of tabletop. You know, you have that's how you end up with a friend who insists that they can jump 10 feet, no problem. But so the second part was like, what if there was a game jam for? So it's a game jam, but it's for creating custom games within games that already exist, but using like with no actual modification. You know, get what I'm saying? Does that make
So
sense?
just adding basically house rules to
Yeah,
the
like
game.
right, creating house rules for pre-existing games,
Ah,
or
I mean, I've
creating
done
game
some
modes like
stuff like
custom.
that.
Because I remember, I feel like we had a couple, but the one that sticks out the most to me that I've brought up on the show before is that we used to. And I think this comes out of playing games a lot, like the same game constantly. You're like, well, I'm bored, but just like we have other games to play. So, in Halo, I think it was like 2 or 3. We stopped playing the combat multiplayer entirely. We just started racing. So like we designed courses, and it's like so you have to, and we would design courses and we just race along those courses. No combat allowed, no weapons, just purely racing.
Sounds interesting.
And the idea of just like, well, a jam where you come up with just new systems on top of whatever games already exist.
It would be interesting if like physical games counted, and you just have a game jam where you alter an existing physical game.
Yeah.
Like basically like you alter tag or something. Like
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah. No, this wouldn't be strictly. Oh, like revisiting old classics, but like modifying them. Okay.
Yeah. Well, like classics. I mean, like playground classics.
Yes. Those are class. Tag is a classic, I think.
Did you remember? Like, I can't credit the article here because I don't remember what the source was, but I think I saw it in Gama Sutra. It was about tic-tac-toe and using that as a education tool, which I did run a class with high schoolers for a period and had them make custom rules for tic-tac-toe and then present them and have the other classmates play them with the custom rules. So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know about you guys, but every time I play tic-tac-toe, I win. I don't. I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
Listen, if you can win a
I
solved,
figured out something.
if you can win a solved game, you toot along. You toot as much as you need. I think part of it's like it's a mind game, you know. You got to get in their head.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. It doesn't matter who makes the first move. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like, I don't know. It's such a simple game, but I'm defeated for some reason. But maybe it's just the people I play against.
Yeah, it's got to be. You get into their heads. It's the true way to win tic-tac-toe. But let me do one last pop to check. Oops, I refreshed the wrong thing.
Oh, no.
I'm still here. Oh, they're back.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me. They happened to drop out when I said I refreshed the wrong thing. That was just a coincidence. I was checking for like one last thing of questions. They're not. I'm also hungry, so I want to go get food. So, with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of Indiepocalypse Radio, but to wrap it up, we gotta be like, hey, let's do plugs, everyone. Plugs. So, Sam, what have you got to plug?
Wait, our own stuff? Something else?
Plug whatever you want. I'm not your boss.
Check out chibifacegames.itch.io. Or I just started a Newgrounds page, so now there's medals if you want achievements. Cool.
Yes.
Only one game on there so far, but I'm working to port them all over and add both medals and some sort of enhancement to each one. So there's a reason to re-release it.
Bring it. Are you going to make a dress-up game?
I don't know. I could. Anything's possible.
Really? If we bring it back to the Newgrounds classics?
Yeah, no, I never got into Newgrounds, but had another dev suggest I go there just because they are a bit more active sometimes.
I had a
More
lot
feedback.
of very, very late nights on newgrounds.com.
Same.
Still pretty active, which is kind of strange.
Well, it's
I
like
think most of the stuff from that era was kind of already dead,
I think it might be just one of those things where it's like a very dedicated niche community where, like, if you go to the forums, like, itch feels dead. Like, nobody goes there.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet. Pretty quiet.
Like, unless it's like people bring someone there specifically. Like, even front page, I never break 1,000 views. Really. Or like, and that's just like, it's a long road to indie culture. But anyway, Preston, what have you got to plug?
So Marshall Games is my little studio. Um, yeah, I have a Facebook. I haven't posted really anything, but I will post things.
Okay.
I have a game that is out on itch.io,
Yeah.
Marshall Games, itch.io. My game is called Star Trapper. It's a game about selling drugs in space.
I'd,
So,
I'd highly recommend it.
thank you. If you are a fan of I guess SNES style RPGs and vertical shoot 'em ups, you might like this.
Yeah.
Check it out. And there's a
Ash,
free demo.
yes. Oh, free demo is perfect. I've thought about the concept of like the shareware version a lot more. But that was back when I was
Yes.
making games.
I've always loved demos, like the demo disc. My cousin used to have them, so
Yeah.
I was excited to like put out my first demo.
Ash, where have we got the
Anything
plug?
came down.
I guess just like my Twitter, which is @cis_ash, which is ironic because I'm not cis. Anyway,
Yeah.
Twitter, itch.io, which is just ash-k.itch.io. I post pretty shitty experimental games,
Listen,
weird things, sometimes entire zines.
this is a home. Indiepocalypse Radio is the number one home for shitty things, weird experimental things, and whole zines.
Hell yeah.
So,
This is this is the thing that I live for.
I'm hoping.
Culture that I breathe
Yeah,
in
this
and
is.
out.
I truly love it, and I'm glad there are people out there doing the shitty work.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to. If I don't have time to.
Yeah, and I guess ash-k.dev is like kind of my website.
Yeah.
Trying to make some tutorials for people. Not there yet, just one tutorial so far, but like, I'm getting there.
Yeah. Listen, at one
Stuff
point.
is gonna be there in a bit.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
at one point I had one issue of Indiepocalypse, and now I have 15. You got to start somewhere. Just
Yeah.
like that first step of like getting a website up is like can be the hardest part. And keep an eye out in the future, at some point in the mysterious future, the unknown future, for something.
Sorry,
I cut
you
out
cut
again.
out for a bit there.
The project was too secret. My
Yeah.
my
The
NDA
secrecy
was
of the project broke your internet.
yeah. My own NDA was coming at my kneecaps to be like, you can't talk about things because you still don't know if it's gonna be made yet. But I feel like it is. So I mean, God, I want to talk about that thing so much.
Yeah, but oh man, I'm excited for this thing I can't talk about.
I am so excited.
It's great.
I've muted every channel and I've really restrained myself from looking inside of them because I want to be surprised when it all comes out at the end.
Oh, I kind of looked in the other channels for a bit
Yeah.
at the beginning. And man, people are making some wild stuff.
Listen, everyone, there are like a few things that are just like ideal Indiepocalypse goals, and like there's something that's coming out that is like one of those things that I never knew could possibly happen or could happen, but it was like one of the things I 100% wanted to do, and it's when I'm doing it, or I'm not doing it, I just did a lot of business emails and set things up. But
you organized it.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
the NDA. Oops, there we go. I'm getting too hot again. I'm getting too hot and bothered.
Yeah.
And I'm moving too much and hitting my microphone cable around. But yeah, I'm very excited for this thing for people to see and to play and to experience. And
When is it gonna come out?
when you all finish this stuff, basically when everybody finishes, and then the middle of the month, whenever like
Maybe middle of next month?
maybe I guess I don't.
Maybe later?
I haven't checked out everyone's progress. I just kind of I like to be very hands off with people and be like, do your own thing.
From what I've seen, some people are kind of already almost done with it. Some are just starting.
Yeah, I've only paid out a couple people so far. That's like my like signpost of like how close it is to being finished. If people would be like, money, please.
Yeah.
That's how
I feel like people aren't really like. They don't feel they're ready to accept the money until they've done the work.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yeah, I understand. I'm also like very much. Listen, let's speak. Okay, I'm not. We're not going to talk about secret NDA shit forever, even though two of us are very excited about it.
We're dancing around it for like a few minutes already. It's kind of.
We're becoming those people. There's a collaboration coming up. It's very cool. Look online. Listen to the things I mentioned that I like a couple of things. If you pay attention to those things that I've said I've liked, you can probably parse it out maybe.
Yeah. Well, like, if I'm honest, I kind of tried some things that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
And man, they're great.
Okay, well, listen,
I can't even tell if I'm being sarcastic right now because, like, this could be just any NDA type thing that we were talking about right now, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I am very specifically talking about as Indiepocalypse special issue. There's a collaboration with another indie publication.
This specific NDA thing, we can't talk about it. It's so great.
I will say, is a specific collaboration with another international small arts publisher / distributor / whatever you want to call them. And if you are aware of my bullshit at all, you can probably figure it out, and I don't care if you figure it out. Anyway, I will have to say, go to indiepocalypse.com, buy Indiepocalypse. Might I recommend issues 8, 5, and 14? Issue 15 hit that break-even point. Let's get the rest of them there eventually, hopefully. Go to indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. Subscribe to the Patreon. That helps things get there very easily. You can subscribe at any level, but every level counts as sales. If you're on indiepocalypse.com/radio, which is this show, hey, if you're here not on a Saturday night, I auto host pretty much Indiepocalypse collaborators and friends of the show, so there's probably something interesting on here. Submit your game at indiepocalypse.com/submit. I have to take down the zine stuff because I'm still figuring out stuff to do with it. If you make comics, go to indiepocalypse.com/zine. If you make other stuff, or if you make one-page zines, go there as well. If you do reviews, think about something else. I'm restructuring that, or I did restructure it. That's Cass's Bad Game Hall Corner. Fuck, what is it called? I don't remember what it's called. But look forward to, if you're an indie dev, look forward to learning important things about bad games. I'm very glad that all worked out very well and easily. I am making an exquisite corpse out of RPG Maker 2. If you have a PlayStation 2 lying around and you would like to also make a game in RPG Maker 2 with me and other developers, go to pizzapranks.com/RPGmaker. I think indiepocalypse.com/RPGmaker works as well. And there's a sign up form and info about working on a month. It's basically the RPG Maker 2 for the PlayStation 2. You work on it for a month and then you mail the game and the memory card to the next person. And we just keep doing that forever. That's it. That's the end of the show. I really want that. That's my new impossible task. I like to create impossible tasks for myself. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Night, everyone.
Yeah.